Who's heard of the Gottmans, the couple that teach marriage counseling? Has anybody heard of the Gottman method? They're excellent. And I heard something that they taught that it blew me away to a certain extent. And what they taught was, it's your view of another person that dictates if you're going to have a good relationship with that person or not. Wild concept. So if you have a bad view of somebody, you're going to have a bad relationship with that person. Good view of somebody, you're going to have a good relationship. Like say before you meet some guy named Kyle and somebody goes, hey, you know, Kyle beats his wife. You haven't even met him yet. Are you going to have a good relationship with Kyle? No. No, you're not. And you should not have a good relationship with Kyle. But why that concept is so powerful is we want to be very good view holders. Now, to work with this, I'm going to tell you about us to start off with. That's what I'm going to start with. I want you guys to have a good relationship with us. That is, I hope you long-term patients know this. We are based off relationships. That is, we want to have great relationships with people that are taking action to be healthy. So I want to go into a little bit about us before we get into the gut health information. So this is the team. Look at all those good-looking doctors. So we have our newest doctor, Dr. Mike Wetzel. He moved here from Florida to work in this practice and learn. We're very happy to have Dr. Mike Wetzel. We've got Big Ben, Dr. Ben, amazing doc. Another doc from out of state, Dr. Sarah Rivas. She moved from South Carolina to come here. She's amazing doc, compassionate, great hands, loves working with kids and pregnant moms. And then we got the two weird brothers here, Dr. Cameron and Dr. Callahan. Now, what I wanted to just share with you guys about this is we're max living doctors, max living chiropractors. And what that means is our commitment is really to always be learning. You guys will notice we close the office sometimes to go to seminars. We're trying to invest time, energy, focus, resources into being the best at what we do so you guys have the best resources. That is our commitment as max living doctors. So our core values, and something's wrong with that. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to hit something real quick. We're going to go through this. I have these memorized, so this will be easy. Just let that do its magic. So our core values, and we cover these on a weekly basis with our team. And I really challenge you guys to hold us accountable to these core values. Our number one core value, there we go, is cause over condition. Cause over condition. If you come in with a headache, we want to know what? What is why? What is the cause of that headache? That is a principle I feel like you can apply to anything in your life. There's conditions in life, and we want to help you with those conditions, but we are most concerned with what is the cause. Cause over condition in all things. If a patient shows up, what is causing that issue? Number two, we believe in complete candor, which candor means complete honesty. That goes both ways. So if there's something going on, we'll tell you, hey, it'd be a good idea to change your nutrition. If this keeps going the way it's going, this is not going to be good for you. And we hope that we have a good enough relationship where you guys allow us to have those candid conversations. Because I feel in this messed up world we live in, our greatest ally is the truth. That is like the greatest ally we have, is just to be honest with each other. We believe with any problem, leadership is the answer. Leadership is the answer. So I travel a lot to go to speak at universities, to work with students. And what I've seen over the last 12 years is the amount of people on an airplane that need to have a wheelchair, or they're younger. They could be 40 years old and they're so unwell that they can't fly. And I'm not passing any judgment here. I'm going to be very clear. I don't think about, oh, what a dumb person. How could that person get that way? How could they let themselves go or let their health go? I think that person needed a better leader in their life. They needed a better role model. They needed leadership, and they needed self-leadership. Leadership is always the answer with a problem. And then our fourth core value is one more individual. So if you have like a place for me to speak, I'll talk to one person. My wife hates this one the most. If we go to a dinner party or we're anywhere, I'm talking health. I'm talking about these things. I'm talking about gut health. Because it could be the one conversation, the only time that person has that conversation, that is a little bit different than a pharmaceutical ad. I don't watch a lot of TV. I watched some sports recently. There were 5 ads during the commercial break. 3 of them were for pharmaceuticals. That blows my mind. The last time I watched TV, it was like 1, now it's like 3 for every commercial break there is. So this could be the only time they hear this. And really our mission is to lead people to maximize their health by honoring the inborn intelligence in their bodies through chiropractic and the 5 essentials. Now, next slide. What this is all based off of, and this is where we've got to start. Because if we can't get on the same page with this, really everything we're going to cover is a little bit of a moot point. So the major premise that we base our decisions, and I do this with my family, with my kids, we do this in the clinic, we do this with patients. The major premise of chiropractic is this: the body is intelligent. The body is smart. If we want to go a step further, there's an intelligence in the universe. Something that created us, or we evolved from, or whatever you want to say, that there is an order and there's a way that this place is organized. There's a design to this, and there's a design to your body, and there's an intelligence inside that body. That is the major premise we base our recommendations off of. It's that you're not created in junk. Junk doesn't get created. Is everybody with me? That is a big deal. That's a big leap. That's a leap from the starting point of you have an amazing intelligence inside your body. Now, where is the majority of that intelligence located? It's located in your central nervous system. That's called your innate intelligence. And that is the majority of your intelligence in your body is in your brain, your spinal cord. Now, what's super cool is the second area of the body. Does anybody want to guess what area of the body has the second most nerve fibers or nerve tissue? It's the gut. It's the gut. About half of the nerves that are in your brain and spinal cord, about half the amount lies in your gut. So there's an amazing amount of intelligence inborn inside of you in your gut. Who's had a bad gut feeling about somebody? I'm saying, who's met somebody and you go, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it, but I don't feel right. Kyle. Yeah, you knew it. So that is because there's an amazing intelligence you were born with called innate intelligence. And we don't want to so much help that. We want to remove the interference to that. Does that make sense? We want to remove the interference to that perfect intelligence. Now, it's cool if you believe that, but I'm not really interested in believers. I want understanders. If you can understand this, you can practice essentially a whole different type of medicine. You get to participate in a different healthcare system, and that healthcare system is called vitalism. And I want to go through the tenets of vitalism. There are 4 pillars of vitalism. Number 1, the body functions as a coordinated energetic entity. So what we mean by that is you're not just a body, you're not just a stomach, you're not just a spleen. You're a body with a mind, and I would even say a soul. There's something that is in you that is not measurable. And there's an energy within you that dictates if you're healthy or not. Diseases exist in the absence of health. This is huge. You're not sick because you have cancer. You got cancer because you're sick. Is everybody with me? That is a huge change in how traditionally people think. You got high blood pressure because you're sick. You're not sick because you have high blood pressure. That is a vitalistic way of thinking. The body is always doing something intelligent. It needs to be supported. A very good example of this is when you have a bacterial infection, what does your body give you? Fever. Agree. That is so intelligent. That's the smartest thing it can do is make a fever. The body is doing something right. It's doing something intelligent. We want to support that. And then our treatment modalities, we want to work through reestablishing physiological function in the body. We want to restore function. That is our main course of treatment, how we want to treat people. Now, this is cool. And if you can live in this healthcare system, it's a lot of fun. It's more fun to practice healthcare this way. Now, there are a couple of you in here that have been doing this type of healthcare for a long time. Who has the sticker? Show your hand who got a sticker. So I want to give you if you got one of those stickers, I want to give you just a small token of gratitude that means that you've been practicing this form of healthcare for 5 years or longer. You guys are going to get one of these. Really nice. For summertime. So everybody raise your hand if you had a sticker. We're going to hand these out to you guys. We'll get them out to you quickly. So guys, these are right about 1 liter of fluid. Some of y'all have been working hard in the yard. So females, you should get 3 of these a day. Men, you should drink 4 of these a day. So that's the count of the fluid you should intake. This is about 1 liter size. Yes, Bob? I'm sorry, is beer okay? It's okay. Beer's okay. All right. So why we set that at 5 years is really a lot of the research shows, and this is why tonight's fun. A lot of the research shows when it comes to healthcare, like it takes a long time to lose weight. It takes a long time to reverse joint disease. It takes a long time to kind of turn around like cognitive decline. You have to do the right things for a long time. On average, 2 to 5 years of making really good decisions is when the body starts to regenerate when you look at the systems. But what's cool about tonight is when you talk about the gut, you can turn the gut around in 5 days to 30 days. This is one of the few workshops I get to do where we get to say, we've got kind of a quick fix. I never get to say that. So I'm excited about tonight for that reason, but I wanted to honor you guys because doing vitalism for 5 years is a big deal, and it puts you in the minority. So I want to compare vitalism to traditional allopathic medicine, which is what we consider like Western medicine. So the body is a material entity. It's just a sum of its parts. So you're just a bunch of organs put together. You're not really greater than the sum of the parts, okay? It's very reductionistic. There is one cause to any specific disease, typically in their mind. So if you have a cold, it's because you got a cold virus. It's not because your immune system was depleted, because your gut was weak, or because you were stressed out. It was because of the cold virus. Is everybody with me? That's pretty simplistic. Now, I want to be before I move on, I'm very happy we have allopathic medicine. Very happy. If I get in a car wreck or a big tree limb falls on me, you guys take me to the hospital. I want somebody that does this to see me. Don't take me to the yoga studio. I don't want to go to a juice bar. I want to go to the hospital. But we want to use this. Can everybody in agreement? We want to use this as little as possible if we can. We'd rather live here and just use this for emergencies. And we'd like to avoid emergencies if we can. So typically in allopathy, the opposite is the cure. A really good example is like if you've got an infection, we're going to give you antibiotics. So it's opposite the infection. If you have high blood pressure, we're going to give you something to bring down your blood pressure. If you have a fever, we're going to give you something to bring down the fever. That's what the definition of allopathy means, against the pathogen. And then finally, typically treatments are done through pharmaceuticals or surgical invention. That's typically what happens. That's the toolbox. Now, when we look at these two ways of doing things, this is where you have the opportunity to, and everybody see these talk notes, this yellow portion? That's when it's time to write down notes. So if you didn't get number 1, the major premise of chiropractic is the body is intelligent. Number 2, the intelligence of the body is located primarily in the nervous system. And we're on number 3 now. So whenever you see one of these yellow talk notes, that means it's in our notes that we made. So your behaviors matter. The behaviors you made today, your behaviors matter. If you can buy into that, your behaviors matter, you can work with what's called the law of probability or the law of possibility. Those are the 2 laws. Now, what I mean by that is, if you know you're doing the wrong behaviors when it comes to health, there is a great probability, that you are going to be a statistic health-wise. Right now, right at half of America has a chronic illness. 133 million Americans. That's half of America. Half of America has a chronic illness. That means, do you guys know what chronic illness means? Does not go away. That means you will most likely have it barring some drastic change for the rest of your life. That is the probable thing that's going to happen with the wrong behaviors. Now, the law of possibility is if you do make a change and you do the things that we know to do best, there is a possibility that you don't have to be a statistic, that you're not going to fall into those probable numbers. So 133 million Americans, half of the population suffers from at least one chronic illness. If we were to lump in obesity with chronic illness, this would be right at 80%. Okay, so this is something that has the possibility of bankrupting our country, Medicare being bankrupted. This is a big deal. This is a big problem. When you listen to smart economists, they all say this is the biggest problem. And I don't want to get in a political debate, but this is bigger than global warming. This is bigger than other issues that we have on our plate, is the healthcare of our society at the moment, okay? I personally don't think more drugs and surgery is the only answer, okay? Next slide. So let's go into the answers. This is absolutely fascinating. And I really, if you guys want to look this study up afterwards, this will really make you know that you have the ability to change and be healthy. This photo is taken from a study called the UK Twin Study. Has anybody heard of the UK Twin Study? This is, okay, I get to be the first person to tell you this. This is great. This is the largest twin study ever done. Over 14,000 participants, which means there were how many twins? No, there were 14,000 participants. I got you there. So there were 7,000 sets of, you had to be identical twins. So genetically identical individuals. This study was pioneered by a doctor who's a geneticist. And they studied them long term, and they wanted to know how come one twin would live to 90 and another twin would die at 50 from cancer. What a cool, I mean, I'm not saying that's cool, but what a cool study to see. They dissected these twins' lives, every aspect of their life. And I want to give you guys the cliff notes, the biggest things they found with this twin study. And this is massive. It's so massive, I want to be very clear, a whole new study of science was created because of the study that didn't exist before. A whole new realm of science was opened up because of this study. So the first thing they realized, the smallest factor of your health and longevity, of the major factors they studied, were your genes. Genes were the smallest of the major factors. What was more than genes was lifestyle, and that falls under a category called epigenetics. Has everybody heard the term epigenetics? So if you exercise, you turn on certain good genes and you turn off certain bad genes. If you eat really good, you turn on certain good genes, you turn off bad genes. It goes the opposite way. If you drink alcohol or you smoke cigarettes, you turn on bad genes and you turn off good genes. Does everybody track with me? So that was more important than genetics, was epigenetics, which was lifestyle. But the number one factor that determined longevity, and if one of these twins was gonna get sick, cancer, have some type of illness, was their gut health was number one. The gut microbiome was the number one determining factor for longevity and health outcomes with genetically identical individuals. That is huge. So I'm going to get into, just so you guys know, the geneticists who pioneered the study changed fields after the study to study the gut. And he's written multiple books on the gut now. That's how much it changed his view. And if you listen to interviews, he goes, I thought it was going to be all what? What did he think it was going to be all? Genetics. All genes. He goes, I went into the study, all genes. Now, the last thing I want to share about the study is it was completely funded by citizen science. Has anybody heard of citizen science? So citizen science, this study was funded by the twins themselves and people donating. Because who typically funds scientific studies? Pharmaceutical companies. So and this is a cool thing that's really happening, is citizens are getting together, and because no pharmaceutical company is going to fund this study. And I can't blame them. You're a business person. There's no money to be made to find out typically what things change in identical individuals. So this is completely funded by the twins themselves. And there's more studies coming out like this on a regular basis. And they're things that we're into. It's health, it's longevity, it's lifestyle intervention. Because we've got to find the money for it somewhere because it's not in the pharmaceutical industry. All right, next slide, please. So they basically proved, that study was 2 years ago, that Hippocrates said 2,400 years ago, Hippocrates said, all disease begins in the gut. So such wisdom ages ago. And here's what the study showed. The number one determining factors they saw in twins for autoimmune disease was gut health. For brain disorders and cognitive decline was gut health. The number one factor for cancer was gut health. The number one factor in the twins for fatigue and joint pain was gut health. Mood disorders between twins was gut health. Learning disabilities between twins, gut health. Infertility and pregnancy issues between twins was gut health. Allergies, asthma, and sensitivities. The number one correlated factor, the difference was gut health. Massive. All right, so let's dive into digestion. Next slide for me. So what is gut health? What are you doing when you digest food? I want to give you guys a summary of the system. I want you to have a very good understanding of your digestive system. So it's got 3 jobs. Job number 1 is to digest or break down food. Job number 2 is to absorb that food into your bloodstream. And number 3 is to eliminate the waste and anything you don't want in your bloodstream out the other end. That is the job of your digestive system. Now I'm gonna quiz you guys. This is important, and this is a very important exercise. What organs in your body deal with digestion of food? Stomach, teeth, mouth, salivary glands, esophagus, liver. We're missing the biggest organ of all of digestion. Gallbladder's 1, 2. There's one more. Pancreas. The pancreas is the main organ of digestion. That's what makes all the materials that's going to break down your food. Now, why digestion is so important is because we've got to have our carbohydrates, our proteins, and our fats broken down into the right materials when they get to the right area of the digestive system. Is everybody track with me? So if carbohydrates are not broken down properly, because a lot of carbohydrate breakdown happens in the teeth and the mouth with amylase in your salivary glands, and it doesn't make it to your small intestines how it should. It has worse effects as it gets to your small intestines. So digestion is paramount in all of those organs: mouth, teeth, salivary glands, esophagus, stomach, pancreas, gallbladder, and liver do the digestion. Okay, huge. Number 2 is absorption. What organ primarily deals with absorption? Small intestines. Your main organ of absorption is small intestines. About 95% of all absorption of minerals, everything happens in the small intestines. About 5% happens in the large intestines, and about 1% happens in the stomach. Does anybody know what gets absorbed in your stomach? Alcohol. I knew you would know. I thought you'd get that, Mr. Holmes. So alcohol is different. Alcohol gets absorbed in the stomach. Everything else, majority small intestines and then large intestines. And then we know the organs of elimination. I'm not going to go over these. My kids would like me to, but we're not going to cover those. So we're going to be going along each area of that, and we're going to be talking about that in detail, but we need to remember this. This is important. This is our roadmap, our map of digestion. But what's even more important, sorry, I thought this was my clicker. We don't have Wi-Fi right now, is the microbiome. Now the microbiome it's invisible. It's 100 trillion cells. That's a lot. Just so you guys know, you're made up of about 70 trillion cells. Your body is. You have more cells in your microbiome than you have cells in your body. And it's a symbiotic relationship. It's made up of bacteria, fungus, and viruses. It's not just bacteria. It's a mixture of microorganisms. if you were to take all the microbiome out of your body, and this is weird to think about, it would weigh as much as your brain. That's how much that bacteria, viruses, and fungus would weigh that's inside your body. This is so important. Who has heard of the Hadza tribe in Africa? Has anybody heard of the Hadza? So they're the healthiest people on the planet. It's a tribe in Africa. They do not get cancer. They do not get sick. Full stop. They don't get sick. They all die of old age. They're a hunter-gatherer society that lives in Hadza. If you were to measure their microbiome, on average, they have twice the number of microbes in their stomach than a normal American has. They have twice the validity of their microbiome. This is a big deal. And they're extremely healthy. Now, the sad thing is they're starting to lose their culture. They're starting to eat processed food. And guess what? They're getting the same illnesses we're getting. They're getting them worse than we are. But before that happened, they're the healthiest culture on the planet. Next slide. So I've got to talk about this. This is a word. I'm going to spell it for you guys. Who wants to win a nice electric powered grill right now, right? All right. So remember that new study in medicine that came from the twin study, a whole new form of medicine. It's called metabolomics. This is a study that was invented because of that twin study. And what metabolomics is, it's not the study of the microbiome. That's different, doctors. It's the study of the chemicals that your microbiome makes. Is everybody with me? All it is the study of all the chemicals those bacteria, that yeast, and that viruses make. They release chemicals in your body, and now there's a new science for it called metabolomics. So one of the key things that your microbiome releases is the factors you need to power your immune system. 70% of your immune system is found within the gut. 95% of the body's serotonin is produced in the gut. 95%. That is called the super hormone. Serotonin is called the happiness hormone. It's what helps you sleep. It's what makes you happy. It's also what makes you not constipated. If you have constipation, it is typically a serotonin issue. You have gut, we're going to get into the cause of that, but you desperately need serotonin to move your bowels and have gut mobility. Serotonin is huge, guys, and 95% of it is made in your gut, and it's primarily made by and in conjunction with the microbiome, the yeast, the bacteria, and the viruses. Next slide. So your body will give you signals if this system is not going well. And anything that's really important, your body will let you know if something is going wrong. So with my kids, the two things I take the most serious is number one, if they say they have a headache, neck pain, mid-back pain, low back pain. If they have any spinal symptoms of that nature, I take that extremely serious with my kids because that's where your intelligence lies. And the second thing I take serious with my kids is if they say they have a gut issue. Those are the biggest things because that is where the intelligence lies. So the body signals if you have a gut problem are bloating, abdominal pain, constipation, nausea, diarrhea, heartburn, and vitamin deficiencies because you're not absorbing your vitamins and minerals. Now, I've got to pause here on heartburn. Americans spend more money on antacids than they spend on toothpaste. Over $2 billion. I don't know many people that do not brush their teeth. You can imagine all the toothpaste we sell. That is how prevalent these issues are. Now, if you do have heartburn, I just want to just take a step aside and give you guys a lot of it we're going to cover some of the things that can cause it, but the two main causes or things that you can help with heartburn is do not eat a big meal before bed. And a number one cause of heartburn can also be stress. So magnesium helps tremendously with heartburn, doing anything you can to manage and lower your stress. But I just want to just briefly talk about that because when we sit down with patients and we do their intake form, I want to say it's maybe 1 out of 3 will say they have heartburn. It's very, very common. So these are the symptoms that, now, none of these are normal. I want to repeat, none of these are normal. Because I'll get in a more in-depth conversation with a patient and they'll go, well, I do have like some constipation. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? He goes, oh, that's just normal for me. Because digestion is something you do every day. It just, if something goes wrong, we're great adapters as humans. We tend to just live with it. So I just want to be very clear. If you have any of this on a semi-consistent basis, this is not normal. You should be completely comfortable through here. You should have good stools. You should have stools regularly. That is the baseline. That is healthy. Healthy is normal. Anything that is not that is unhealthy and is not normal. Is everybody with me? Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox. I'm not going to pull up like a chart of the healthy and unhealthy poop. You guys can do that, like the different stools. But this is not normal. Never. If any of my kids are constipated, or I don't think they ever have, or if they have diarrhea, I know something is really wrong and we need to address it. All right, next slide. So what causes these symptoms? 2 big things. Number 1 is leaky gut. Leaky gut happens when you get holes in your small intestines. And typically those holes get punched via inflammation and an immune response. So you have an immune response in your gut, holes get punched in that area, and then things that should not be going into your bloodstream go into your bloodstream, okay? This is the number 1 cause of autoimmune conditions in our culture right now. This should not be new for a lot of you. This is really everywhere. If I were to say this 10 years ago, I would have doctors cussing me out, but we now know this is all completely true. You get holes in your stomach. It's caused by inflammation and immune response, and it leads to digestive issues. So number 1 is leaky gut.
They used to call ulcers.
So ulcers are in the stomach. Okay. Ulcers are in the stomach. They typically come from H. pylori, an infection, or they can come from stress or bad lifestyle. These are smaller down in the small intestines. They don't cause bleeding. They're really small, where ulcers could be large. These are very small, but they're big enough to let things in through the bloodstream. Okay, number 2 is SIBO. SIBO stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. This is a condition when bacteria from the large intestines makes its way up into the small intestines where it shouldn't be, and it causes problems, and it can actually cause leaky gut. All right? Now, what's scary about SIBO, and the number 1 cause of SIBO, we're going to go through the causes, but a big cause of SIBO, who took antibiotics when they were a kid? I mean, very grateful we have penicillin. I am very thankful we have antibiotics. But with what I know now about the gut health, I am only taking them in, I'm got to be close to death's door if I'm going to take an antibiotic. It's like dropping an atom bomb, and it really wastes away almost every part of your microbiome. And then the small intestines gets colonized by bad bacteria. All right? So why SIBO is so dangerous, go ahead for me, is it's very prevalent. If you have a chronic digestive issue like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, or you just chronically have some type of digestive issue, the chances of you having SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, is right around 80%. It's a large percentage of people. We do a test here in the clinic called metabolomics or metabolics test. We were blown away. About 50% of the people we tested had this. It was a much larger percentage than I thought it was going to be. Your body will throw off chemicals if you have this, and that's what we test for. We do not ask for this test. We are currently not doing this test. We need a naturopath to do it. We used to do it, but I was blown away with the amount of people that have this. So we need to address it. So what are the causes of SIBO and leaky gut? This is in your notes. Number 1 is added sugar. And when I go over this, we added sugar, damaged fats, which are fried food, refined carbohydrates, GMOs or glyphosate, so that's just non-organic food, and artificial sweeteners. When I go through the list of the things that cause SIBO and leaky gut, what age group am I thinking about? Who eats a ton of sugar, fried food? It's kids. This is kids. And I've got the neighbors to prove it, guys. Okay? I do. So added sugar destroys the gut because the bacteria we don't want in our system feeds off simple sugar. Damaged fats causes an inflammation response around the small and large intestines. It causes an immune response. We're not really ever meant to have trans fats in our body. It's a very foreign thing. It's not real food, and it causes an inflammation response in our gut. Refined carbohydrates, why refined carbohydrates are on this list is because what do they simply turn into quickly? Sugar. Turn into sugar. So more complex carbohydrates don't seem to have the damaging effect on the gut, but think like Wonder Bread or really not white potatoes, not sweet potatoes, but like breads, cookies, crackers, packaged processed foods. Those are the things that destroy your gut. Glyphosate, which raises the pH in your stomach and your digestive system. It makes it more alkaline, which you do not want to have. And it interferes with the production of butyrate, which is a very important chemical. Yes?
What is that in?
Anything that is not organic, that's a produce, is most likely going to have glyphosate on it. Now here's what's bad. Even organic produce has glyphosate because it blows over from neighboring fields. It's really, you guys, I don't want to get into the whole talk about this. Try to eat organic if you can afford it, do it, eat organic. Why it's important is these plants are modified so they can survive this herbicide, which is called glyphosate. And glyphosate kills every other plant except for that genetically modified food. And it's a way for farmers to increase their yields. And I wouldn't have an issue with it, but we know there's health effects to it, specifically to the gut and the microbiome.
Can you wash that off with an actual, spinach or vegetables and fruits?
I honestly don't know the answer to that. I will tell you what we do in our family is the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. Like, I will not buy and eat an inorganic strawberry. It is, if you guys are, I don't know if there's many Tom Brady fans left because he kind of didn't go out well, but Tom Brady said, I have one rule, I don't eat inorganic strawberries. It's because they're loaded with pesticides and glyphosate. So I would anything that's on that Dirty Dozen list, which you can look up online, you buy that organic. Like something that's always on the Clean 15 is like avocados. Don't spend your money on organic avocado. It's not gonna have a lot of glyphosate on it because they don't really use it in avocado farming. Is everybody with me? It's Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. Now, they'll change every year depending on what the farmers are doing. All right, so lastly, artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners are awful for your gut microbiome. They're terrible. And I've got to have kind of a coming to Jesus meeting about this. This includes things like sugar alcohols, xylitols. You guys know the healthy ones? I don't think stevia, though, is as bad for gut health, but the ones I like, sugar alcohols and xylitol. I like to use those. Have you guys ever had like a Zevia soda? It's like a soda replacement. They're not as bad as like Sweet and Low. They're not as bad as saccharin for your gut health, but they're not great for your gut microbiome. So I would use those I would use those artificial sweeteners like xylitol and sugar alcohols as bridge foods to come off of like maybe your sugar craving or your sugar addiction, and then try to minimize them if you can long term, because we know and a lot of my healthiest friends won't do sugar alcohols anymore because of this. I had a question here first.
What about monk fruit?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if monk fruit is a sugar alcohol or not. I think monk fruit is okay. The issue I've heard about monk fruit is it does raise your insulin a little bit more than they kind of advertise to a certain degree, but I think it's better than sugar. Yep.
The stevia that's refined, the powder, do you recommend stay away from that?
I don't have a massive opinion on stevia. I think, you just want to avoid the ones that mix in other things into it. I'm sorry, I wish I could answer that better. I don't like stevia. I don't like the taste of it. I don't use it a lot. It's one of those, I'm like being selfish. I should know this for patients, but I don't know the answer to that. Yes, allulose is I believe because it has I believe allulose is okay. Allulose is okay. Yes. I think I heard something in the back. I'm sorry, what was that?
That was my question about
Monk fruit? Monk fruit?
it's an extract from gourd plant.
Yeah. I like monk fruit, but here's what's so hard. Do you get what was the stuff that came from cactuses? Agave. Like you remember, like we go through these fads and trying not to do sugar, and then we found out like 99% of agave was made in China and was like awful for you. Like, so what's hard is I'm trying to tread lightly here because I've said things in the past that ended up being not good in the future. So at the moment, all I've heard about monk fruit is good, other than it raises your blood sugar a little bit. Yes.
Can you use raw, unrefined honey?
Yes. You may. You want to do that in moderation. We evolved with honey. You just don't want to, I wouldn't recommend doing lots of it all the time. Okay? Man, you guys really, when I talk about sugar and sweets, like everybody woke up, like the questions started happening. We'll talk about coffee and beer next. All right. So these are the main causes of digestive issues. Now, I want you guys to remember a rule of thumb. A rule of thumb with sugar. Like fruit, if there's going to be carbohydrates, it needs to be paired with what? Fiber. The only reason you need fiber is to process carbohydrates. This is really important to remember. So the worst case with carbohydrates or sugar is when they're not paired with a fiber. That's like a cookie, a cracker. It's not paired with fiber. It's just sugar. It's key. That's why fruit, bananas, strawberries, those are low glycemic, but apples, even the higher sugar fruits, if they're paired with fiber, they do less damage in your gut microbiome and with your blood sugar. Everybody with me? Okay, let's go next. So, yeah.
You guys don't do it, is that something you can ask your PCP to do that SIBO test? Or
I can find you a resource to get it tested. Yep. Yep, they'll send in a blood and urine analysis, and then you'll just do a virtual with a doctor. But we'll get you set up. All right, guys. So that is the problem. And if just with doing the testing, if I were to estimate the percentage of the population that has either leaky gut or SIBO, it's more than 50%. I've got to know that with the amount of people I've tested. There is a very simple process to reversing this. It's well tested. We've done it with patients. It works. And this is what I'm so excited about, guys. If say you had a gut issue, say you've had, like I've had patients who've had heartburn for 25 years. They've had heartburn for 25 years, and they go, "Damn it, I'm tired of taking these antacids." And what they'll do is they have what are called gut health retreats. They're really popular now. They're great. They're excellent. You're going to go to Atlanta, Georgia, or you're going to go to the woods. They're set up all over the country. You're going to go to California. And they're going to do this process that I'm going to cover with you A to Z, the entire process. You're going to go there, and it's $5,000 for a week. It's typically $3,000 to $5,000. You're going to be able to do this entire process for less than a tenth of that. I'm very excited to be able to, for you, because not everybody can do that. You got to take off a week work. It's very expensive. You can do that exact same process from your home. You can. So let's go through the process. So it's called the 4 R's to gut healing. This is well reproduced. This is well documented. This is the process to heal your gut. So R number 1 is remove. So we want to remove the bad bacteria, the yeast, the parasites, the overgrowth in the gut. The only way we're going to do that is by removing the food source of those things. So you have a couple ways to do that. You got the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is you can just eat healthy for a really long time. You just eat super clean. And here's what's hard about this. If you cheat, guess what happens? You go right back to square one. That's why it's a week, because they watch you. You can't be sneaking in Snickers it's a very intense process because you're cultivating this bacteria, yeast, and virus in your gut. That's the easy way if you have that willpower. I like to do things the hard way. So the hard way to do this, and this is what we're going to recommend, is if you can, you do some type of fasting. Water fasting, bone broth fasting, or at least at the minimum a liquid fast, like a juice fast. Okay? We're going to go over the options for you. Now I'm going to recommend if you're serious about this, you take the hardest route, which is the water fast. This is in the Bible. This is Buddhism. It's basically any major religion talks big thing about fasting. I think it's good for the mind, it's good for the soul, and it's very good for the body. Okay? I'm going to go through, there are exceptions. Not everybody in here is allowed to fast. I'm going to go through those exceptions. But how the first phase, and if you're going to go to one of these fancy, expensive gut health retreats, you're going to do a water fast for 3 days. That's so you're paying $5,000 for to drink water for 3 days. But if you do this water fast, it's going to completely remove that. It's going to starve out and bomb the system properly. So go to the allopathic approach is, say you have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, is they're going to prescribe an antibiotic. And it'll kill everything in there, but what the literature is coming out, it's going to make you worse in the future. So if we want to do it properly, we're going to do it naturally if we can, and that's going to be done through fasting. We're going to bomb the city, but we're going to use like missiles that are guided from like a drone instead of like an atom bomb with antibiotics. So our number 2 is repair. We're going to repair the thin, permeable gut lining, specifically of the small intestines and the large intestines. And we're going to do this with a couple things. The number one way we're going to do it is with a gut renew formula. Now you can go make your own herbs. This is all 10 of those herbs put into powder, or you can take 7 capsules. I prefer just mixing this in water and drinking the powder. You're going to do this once a day, either 7 capsules a day or 1 scoop of this a day in water, or you can mix it with, something else besides water as long as it's healthy. But what it's going to have in there is like licorice extract and roots and herbs, aloe, all the highest herbs that have been proven to soothe the lining of the digestive system and stop the inflammation response that's happening within the small intestines and the large intestines. Okay? That's really key. You don't have to do the supplement. I would recommend it because it puts all the ones you need to take into one. If you're going to go to the gut health, you're going to go to the gut health camp for 7 days, they're going to give you all of these herbs individually. We have them all in one powder. The second thing you're going to want to take is called, yes?
How long do you do that?
1 month. It's a 1 month protocol. Yep. The second is, who's heard of NAC, N-acetylcysteine? It's made the news. It's a really, I don't typically add in more supplements. This is a supplement that I've added into my daily routine because the literature on it is, what was the first one called? Gut Renew. Gut Renew. And it's got like 10 different supplements in it. NAC, N-acetylcysteine, just the short of it, it's going to help your body create glutathione. And glutathione is the body's strongest antioxidant. And we need that to help heal the lining that has been damaged, especially if it's been damaged in the small intestines. We want a lot of antioxidants to help the healing process. We're going to do this for 1 month. 1 month. You just do it for 1 month. Yes?
On our sheet as Pronac.
Pronac. That is Pronac. Okay? And this is 1 capsule a day. All right? That takes care of the repair process. All right? That's going to help aid and get our own body's intelligence the best way possible to heal those tight junctions that happen with leaky gut and also heal any inflammation that has been caused by an immune response near the small intestines and the large intestines. You may notice with a gut renew, if you have diarrhea, that it kind of, with some of the herbs in there, that it brings the stools together nicely, but it's not going to make you constipated. Okay? Yes?
Can you take the gut renew and the Pronac
Yes. This will all be taken in conjunction. And I'll get into more detail about this. So the next phase is replace. And the big thing we want to replace is your digestive enzymes. And this is, I don't believe in unless you're missing your gallbladder. Is anybody here? You don't have to raise your hand, but if you don't have a gallbladder, you do need to take ox bile for the rest of your life. You need to be taking a digestive enzyme. But if your gallbladder, and if you guys have questions about that, those of you who don't have a gallbladder, come up and talk to one of the doctors afterwards. We can take you through a process. But if you do have your gallbladder, I don't recommend you take digestive enzymes always for the rest of your life. But what we want to do during this month process is we don't want to further damage the gut by sending undigested protein and fat and carbs down the pipe. Does that make sense? We want to make sure it's properly digested at every stage. So for this month with your food, we are going to take digestive enzymes for this month only. You do take it with food. You take it 3 pills a day, morning, afternoon, and night. Digestive enzymes. Not recommending you do it for the rest of your life, but through this process that we do it. Yes, Scotty?
So you say morning, afternoon, night, and you eat 3 times.
I am going to recommend after this water fast that we do eat 3 times a day for this month. I know a lot of you intermittent fast. I intermittent fast, but I would break my intermittent fast for this process alone. The reason being, and this is on your 10 commandments of digestion, the best way to heal your gut, you want to eat a big breakfast, a moderate lunch, and as small as dinner as you can to help it, just with this month, to help with digestion. Mandy, I think I saw.
Well, you answered me, but that's the digestive enzyme.
Yes, that's taken with food 3 times a day. And then the final phase is replenish or reinoculate. We're going to put the good bacteria back in the body. Now, we're going to do this with a couple ways. Number one is we have a 50 billion probiotic. It's 10 of the most beneficial strains, and it's in a time-release capsule. This is on your notes. The most important thing about your probiotic is that it survives the hydrochloric acid in your digestive system. You want it to survive. So you do need a time-release capsule. We want this to make it to the lower digestive tract. So we're going to take a 50 billion probiotic. The next thing we're going to take is, you don't have to take this, but I would recommend it, is some type of greens powder. And this is a huge point I have to make. In the twin study and with the Hudza, what they found was it wasn't so much the amount of plant matter you ate, it was the variety of plant matter. And the magic number is 30 different species of plants a day. That's a lot of different species of plants. So I mean, like if you ate broccoli, you ate an apple, you ate a strawberry, you had some sweet potato, you look at a salad, you put some bean sprouts on it. Herbs and spices do count in that variety, but we want 30 different plant species per day. Now, what makes it easy? This has over 30 species in it, in the powder. Different veggies, herbs, fruit extracts. So you're gonna hit that 30 mark with a greens powder. I definitely notice my digestion is better when I'm taking a greens powder. Some of you guys have said the same thing to me as well. So that is we want those 30 different species to make sure we're feeding all of the different bacteria. We want a broad range of bacteria in our lower intestines. Everybody with me? That's why we want variety.
Is that the same as protein?
No, this is the greens. It'll be either, we have 2 different types of greens. We have the New Medica Power Greens, and we also have the Pure Path Greens. They're both great products. Excellent. I think it just will depend on how much, the amount we have of each of them, which one you get. But they're chocolate flavored. I like them in a smoothie. You can mix them with water. They taste like chocolate. This one's espresso flavored. Yes?
I just had a quick question. So if someone's had a lot of stress and has been sick and get an antibiotic, this would all be recommended, right?
Yes. Yep. Okay, last thing I've got to talk about, guys, and this is not in the packet. You can get this on your own. We're out of stock of this. Is something called S. boulardii. It's a yeast. Has anybody heard of S. boulardii? You've heard? I believe it's Boulardii. Yeah. Somebody have phone signal or have. I think it's that. Is that correct? Spelling bee champ. Got it. So it stands for Saccharomyces boulardii. And this is such an interesting and fascinating story how they found this out. This was discovered in the 1920s by a French scientist named Henry Ballard. And it was back in colonial France, and they were in Indonesia. And he was a scientist and medical doctor in Indonesia. And he could not understand when cholera outbreaks were happening in Indonesia, there was one tribe that none of them would get cholera. It's like, how come this tribe, everybody's getting sick, they're not getting cholera? He found out it was from a fermented tea that they all drank in that tribe, and it contained this yeast. This is a non-pathogenic yeast. It's a fungus, and it's got a couple of unique properties. Number one is without even a time-release capsule, it can make it through the stomach undamaged. It does not get broken down by hydrochloric acid. Number two, it super boosts the immune system. It's a super immune booster. It does not, here's the bad thing, it does not stay colonized in your gut. You need to take it on a semi-regular basis to get the benefits. Now, why I bring this up, this is in our, I think there's like a microbiome. This is our microbiome support. You can order this online. You can get it at other places. If you take an antibiotic, and medical doctors are recommending this, you always take this with an antibiotic. Antibiotics do not kill this yeast. It's super important to repopulate your gut. It's very good for the immune system. This is just a side note, but we want to make sure this is all in our medicine cabinets. If you have to take an antibiotic, we want to use this alongside of it.
So what do you have?
It's called microbiome. I don't see it on there.
Every day?
What's that?
Do you take S-boulardii every day?
So I would recommend taking this with the gut packet if you can. Otherwise, I would take it intermittently. It's like you're giving yourself a little dose of it, and then definitely take it for a long period of time if you take antibiotics. So I wouldn't recommend taking this every day. I don't think you would need to.
So when you were on antibiotics, that would be a good thing to, like, when
I would do like a month. I would do a month's supply of it. I would do a month's supply and then probably take it on a weekly basis, some of that nature. Okay. All right. Yes. Yes. Children can take this. Absolutely. Yes.
This doesn't pertain to people, but will this work on animals? My dog was tested for positive for heartworms. 30 days antibiotics. If I give her all of this stuff.
We're outside of my breadth and depth of. We had Dr. Micah here. Do we have an answer? Is this a veterinary answer?
Just Googling the spelling, and they did have some for pets on when I was.
There we go. Yes.
Is there a recommended dosage for that? Like,
So I would. I don't know the answer to that. I would take the recommended dose. I would take a month's supply of it, and then I would do it on a weekly basis. Yep. All right, guys. Again, this is not my clicker. I have to tell. So let's go through. I want to respect your guys' time, so we're going to be wrapping up here in 20 minutes. So we have remove is step one. Number two is repair. Number three is replace. Number four is replenish. We're going to go, and you can go through all four of those steps in a month time and completely reset your gut in a month. There's just not that many things that you can do like that in natural healthcare, and I'm excited about that. Your gut lining, it heals, it turns over about every 7 days. So you get a new one every 7 days. We want to give it a whole month of not having inflammation and immune response and get a nice, good, healthy gut with no leaky tight junctions. Right? Yes.
Are you doing all these things simultaneously?
All together. All together. So this is the 4R system. I'm going to go through the green sheet. And this is go to the next slide. This is our challenge. The challenge I have for you guys, I'm going to be doing this challenge. And for me, it starts this Friday. You guys can start this whenever you want, but I'm going to be doing it Friday. I'm not going to be water fasting during the work week. I don't think you guys want me to be breaking your necks with or breaking your backs. So here's the gut reset. We're going to start with this page here with the big blanks. You can choose a 1-day fast, a 2-day fast, or a 3-day fast. The most benefit from fasting happens at 3 days. That's when you get the biggest spike in growth factor and growth hormone. That you get a huge spike in these hormones that make you younger, heal your body. That happens around 3 days. But you can choose whatever you want to do. You're going to get great benefit from 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Yes.
And it's a complete fast, you're not doing any of this stuff.
So none of this. And you have a choice. You can do water. I would add salt to that water, pink Himalayan sea salt, or if you guys like the elements, if you had those element salt packages, you want to add salt to your water with this. Yes. You can put electrolytes in there. That's fine. Yes.
Every bit of the water you drink, or just all, I mean.
You can do every bit with a water fast. You can add electrolytes to every bit of the water you drink. You can. Pinch of salt. You want to do a pinch of sea salt. So what I would do, if I was a female, I would have at least 3 of these a day. And I would add a big heaping pinch of pink salt or Himalayan sea salt to each of these I drink. Okay? So that is the hardest, is the water fast. The second hardest is bone broth. We recommend, who's heard of Allie Made bone broth? Great product in town. She's awesome. Very high quality. But you can just go to Reese's. You can go to Whole Foods and get beef bone broth or chicken bone broth. But the only thing is that's all you're drinking for those 1, 2, 3 days is broth. Why broth is important is it's loaded with glutamine, bone broth, and glutamine heals the gut lining. It's also in the gut renew. It's super important for healing the gut lining. So bone broth is a good choice. And then the third choice, or the easiest, is do just a liquid fast. Give your gut a break with solid food. So I would recommend like either a smoothie. You can make your own smoothie. You can do juices, raw juices, vegetable juices, maybe with a little bit of fruit in them. You're going to get a lot of benefit from doing that as well. You can just do that for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Does anybody have any questions on what fast to choose? Yes.
Can you mix them up?
Sure.
Like you can have a water one day and the next day?
I have no problem with that because it's when we did, I got to give my team some credit. My team all did it this week. And some of them got sick from doing water fast. That's not good. You should not get sick fasting. That means something is up. We need to address something. But we are so addicted to food. I want you to think of the last time you went 24 hours without eating, 36 hours without eating. That just in nature, that would not have happened. We would have went long periods of time with eating 10,000 years ago. That's what our body is designed for. So if you do anything, any amount, it's going to be better than eating food every day, okay? Now, when we're fasting, I've got some good prompts here. These are amazing prompts. Just every day I will focus on today, what am I going to focus on? I'm grateful for. I will let go of every day. I find when I fast, some insights and wisdom come to me that don't come when I have a full belly. It's kind of amazing when you're hungry, some of the stuff you think up. But I want you to think through those prompts. They could be helpful. Now, I do want to talk about when to stop fasting. You stop fasting immediately if you have consistent dizziness, blurred vision, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, excessive diarrhea, indigestion, chest pain, stomach pain, intense headaches, confusion, or disorientation. We're going to stop fasting. A good idea is just to drink some protein shake or eat some steamed veggies. This is really important. Just on a side note, guys, the best way for gut health to eat food is steamed. Raw is good. We want a mixture of raw and steam, though. You do get more nutrient availability from steamed food. I don't care if it's out of a can. I don't care if they're frozen. Obviously, fresh is best. But if you steam frozen vegetables, that's outstanding. You steam canned vegetables, that's outstanding. They have a high nutrient density. That is fine, guys, okay? You should not fast if you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding, if you're under 18, you're not allowed to fast. Type 1 diabetic, you take insulin, you have kidney stones. I would not fast on your menstrual cycle, females. The best time to fast is the day following your menstrual cycle. So I think that's day 8 to day 20 are the best days in your cycle to fast. I do not know what that means. I will tell you this, when I looked this up, all the male physicians said one thing and all the female physicians said another thing, and guess who I listened to? All the female, every female physician, and I like to see consistency, they consistently said the best days are numbers 8 through 20. It's when you're high estrogen, you're not making a lot of progesterone. Again, I don't know what that means. I know what it means, but I don't know what day that is. Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry? So you bring up a good point. This is my recommendation when you're fasting. This is why I'm doing it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You should rest. You should rest. You should chill out. Get some reading done. Just calm down. Take a break for 3 days. Let your body heal. Don't give it anything. Just chill the freak out for 3 days. Or it could be 1 day or 2 days. But my recommendation is that you do not exercise while fasting. This. Yes. So if you are taking medication, I do not recommend you do a long fast. You should consult your physician if you're on a medication, especially if you need food to take that medication. So if the medication says take with food, the most I would maybe fast is 18 hours, maybe 24 hours, but I would consult your physician if you have to take food or medication with food.
I want to add to what I'm sharing about having a heart condition. I can't drink that much fluid every day, so I have to try to take that down a bit. You can still do 1, 2, or 3 days.
I would just make sure you have salt, a lot of salt in your fluid, if you're going to drink less water. Yep. Great questions, guys. Any other questions about the hard way? Yes.
I drink a lot of iced tea. If I go 3 days, no caffeine.
Just be prepared if you can do it. Absolutely. You're just going to have a headache. You have a massive headache. It's going to be good for you because what they're finding about caffeine and coffee and tea is they're finding it's not so much a diuretic, it depletes your body of salts. That's the newest literature on, that's why it makes you urinate more. It's actually not a big, doesn't dehydrate you, but it does get rid of salt, and water follows salt. All right. Yes.
Water fasting, how long is it before the greatest amount of toxins kicks in?
So the short answer to that is 3 days. The third day. Autophagy is the body, it's the body cleaning up dead cells, damaged cells. You can go longer and reach higher levels of autophagy with fasting. But for our purposes, I want to keep it to 3 days. But you're looking at the real high levels around day 7 and 8. And then I think you get another big spike at day 20 or something for those longer fasts. But for our purposes, day 3 is when your first big spike happens at day 3. Okay, good questions, guys. Let's flip over the sheet. So that is days 1, 2, or 3, or days 1 through 3. Then we have the next 30 days, which is the repair, replace, replenish process. We have all the supplements that you'll be taking daily and in their dosages. And then we have the 10 commandments of gut health I want to just briefly go over. Number 1, we're going to try to not drink liquid with meals. My British grandmother was right all along this is a very American thing to drink fluid with meals. Why do we not want to, this is semi-new to me, but why do we not want to drink water with food? It dilutes your digestive enzymes and your hydrochloric acid in your stomach.
But we take a lot of supplements with our meals, and so we're drinking more.
So just drink as little water as you can. So that can happen. Say you're eating your food and you do get parched or you have a dry mouth or you need to get some food down. Take a drink, but just try to keep it to a minimum. Okay, try to keep drinking with food to a minimum. We want to stop 30 minutes before meals in a perfect world and then wait 90 minutes after eating in a perfect world. This is a game changer if you've never done this. If you've never done this, this is a game changer for your digestion and how well your digestive system works. Now, if you look at number 2, we want to make sure we drink plenty of water. So 125 ounces for men, 90 ounces per day for women. We want to eat at least 1 fermented food per day. That can come in the form of yogurt, sauerkraut, kefir, tempeh, natto, kombucha, miso, or kimchi. Yep. So try to get 1 in if you can. We want to eat like a king for breakfast, queen for lunch, and a pauper for dinner, especially if you have heartburn. This is huge. So we want to have the biggest meal in the morning. This is not for insulin resistance. This is not for diabetes. This is purely for gut health. We're prioritizing gut health with this protocol. We want to eat a wide variety of plant foods, fruits, vegetables, nuts, sprouted grains, and seeds. 30 is the magic number of species. We want to eat whole foods as minimally processed as possible. 1 ingredient is best. So for this 30 days, guys, just try to eat whole foods if you can. Nobody's perfect, but if you can, keep it down to when you put something in your mouth, it's 1 ingredient. So a piece of chicken, lettuce, carrots. I'm not getting stingy on like this fruit or this vegetable. That's not the point of this. It is just eat a whole food diet for 30 days. Okay? We want to use healthier cooking methods, steam, poach, braise, boil, or even microwave. For this challenge is better than, we want to avoid fried foods at all costs. That is the devil with gut health, is fried foods, damaged fats. It's going to cause an inflammatory response in your gut. We want to chew our food. Mouth and teeth are the first digestive organ. We want to use them. That's where a lot of carbohydrates are broken down. If you can, in this 30 days, move your body, some type of exercise. At the minimum, guys, if you can, get on I know it's hot out right now, but get in a habit of either walking after breakfast early in the morning or walking after dinner, but going after a walk at one of those meals. Okay? And then we want to avoid excessive, I'm talking to you, Bob, avoid excessive alcohol, caffeine, if possible. These negatively affect your digestive. Smoking is there too, but I don't think you guys need another doctor to tell you not to smoke. But alcohol and caffeine are no-goes if possible in that 30 days, or excessive. So what's excessive caffeine? More than 2 cups of coffee. More than 200 grams of caffeine is excessive. Yes?
So you don't mention meats on here at all, so are they good?
Yep. Meats, just watch out how you cook them. You can do meats as much as you want, really, in my opinion. Yes?
Your basis, sous vide style cooking?
Absolutely. Yep.
What about other things that we have already purchased, like rice, coffee? It's a mushroom.
Not a lot of caffeine in it, that's fine. Right? Rice is great. Yes?
Cooking even without like a little bit of olive oil is out.
No, that's fine. I'm just talking about deep frying foods, fried foods, damaged fats. Cooking with olive oil is minimally damaged as long as it's medium heat. You're not cooking at 800 degrees. So you guys know the deal with cooking. You want to cook with avocado oil, coconut oil, olive oil is okay. Ghee is great. Butter is okay to cook with. But it's cooking at really high temperatures, or really any fried food with breading, anything with trans fats. We want to avoid at all costs for a month. Let's give our gut a break for a month, and then we'll get some more when the state fair comes through. Yeah. I think it does. Don't quote me on that. I don't eat bread anymore, but I think it does. Yeah. All right, guys, let's go to the next slide. So here's what we're going to close with. The nervous system. So your gut is controlled primarily by the central nervous system. You guys know we're advocates of the nervous system. It's the most important system. And how your nervous system talks to your gut is through a nerve called the vagus nerve, which means the wandering nerve. And it starts right here at the top of the neck. And that's that's the area that goes down to basically every organ of digestion. So whenever we're working with patients, the majority of people seek out a chiropractor for like a couple things: neck pain, headaches, low back pain, mid back pain, numbness in the hands, or sciatica. Those are like the most common reasons people come to a chiropractor, or they want better posture, or they heard they have arthritis and they want to slow down the arthritis or stop it. But the biggest three things we hear from patients that start getting their nervous system worked on that they didn't expect is, number one, I'm sleeping better. Number two, I get less infections, my immune system is stronger. And number three is my digestion's better. Those are like the three side effects that can happen from taking care of the central nervous system. So we want to maintain a healthy nervous system. This is really critical. What gets in the way of this is, and this is in your talk notes, it's a condition called subluxation. Subluxation means less than a dislocation. So who has woken up with a crick in their neck before? That's called a subluxation. You didn't dislocate your neck in the middle of the night, but it's not in its proper alignment. And sometimes you can self-correct that. The body can self-correct it and you feel better. And then sometimes it doesn't self-correct and it sticks around longer. Then you get arthritis afterwards. And a lot of that self-correction really depends on the side view of the spine. If you have the healthy curves in your spine, you got a curve in your neck, you got a curve in your mid-back, and you got a healthy curve in your low back. If you have those curves, that's when you hold your adjustment longer, you hold your alignment better. Where we run into problems is when you get that crick in your neck, or you get a subluxation, or you're picking up a giant branch and you don't have those proper curvatures, and then it sticks around and it causes damage. So the two things about a subluxation that are devastating to health, number one is it puts pressure on a nerve. So you guys, you know what, everybody knows what back pain feels like, right? It hurts. That nerve goes somewhere and controls an organ. That nerve goes to your prostate. That nerve goes to your femoral organs. That's women who've had menstrual cycles. When you have them, you ever felt it in your low back before? It's because there's a strong nerve connection between those two systems. So number one thing is it puts pressure on a nerve, and you don't want pressure on nerves. The second thing why subluxation is bad is it leads to arthritis. This is the cause of degeneration. This is why your spine wears out early. This is what causes the lack as you get into your 50s and 40s and you can't move and you don't have mobility. It's because you've had an injury for so long you didn't know it, and then the spine started to degenerate. This is really important. So the two things I want to say here is patience. If you're a patient here, I appreciate you for putting work into the system. Do your stuff at home that we ask you to do, please. So lay on the sleep rolls, do the exercises, keep a good rhythm with how you address this system. It will pay off in the long run. It will pay off in the short run as well. Take advantage of the tools that you have. Put in the effort. It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. If you guys don't think it's worth it, you guys can come shadow me and we'll look at the bad 70-year-old spines in my office. And then you'll look at their spine, and then you'll look at all the health conditions they have. And then we'll look at the good 80-year-old spines in my office, and then you'll see I take like a baby aspirin and I don't really even want to take that. That's something that sold me on this concept more than anything is taking care of people, especially older people. You are only as young as your spine, and you want to take very good care of it. They do not have something called a spine replacement yet in medicine, so take care of the one you have. The second reason I want to bring this up is if you're a guest here and you've never had the system checked, I want to give you an opportunity to do that. So if you're a guest and you get the gut health bundle, which is the whole system, you guys jump in with a challenge, you can get this all taken care of for no additional cost to you. We'll do it out of our expense. What you're going to get is a full history consultation. You're going to get a full set of x-rays. You're going to get an exam that is all taken care of if you buy into the bundle and you take this opportunity to reverse your gut health over a month. So that's completely taken care of if you're a guest. If you're not really into the gut health thing and you're a guest and you still want to get this checked out, it's what we're going to do is we do a deep discount. It's $47 to get all that testing. Okay, that's everything if you're a guest here. So if you are a guest, just kind of hang out. Natalie will come around just to meet you, talk to you. She'll say, hey, do you want to get the gut bundle? Do you want to take advantage of this? It is priceless to see if you have arthritis in your spine now. If you're 20, 30, 40, to see if there's something building in your body that you have no clue could be building there and causing disease and dysfunction. Next slide. So get checked. Get your spine checked, please. Next slide. So what are our action steps for tonight? We're going to join the gut reset. We're going to get all our needed resources for this challenge. So that's get your bundle if you need be, get your fasting in order. I will give you guys a tip. Before we fast, don't eat the biggest meal at like Arby's or go to barbecue. Like, oh, it's, I'm going on Survivor. You want to ease into this. So the night before you fast, have a salad, have a light day beforehand. You don't want your stomach big and stretched before you then go to shrink it. So get all the things you need for those 10 commandments. Get the foods, the whole foods. Get a game plan. I eat a lot at Chipotle. I eat out a lot at Jason's Deli. You can order a salad at any restaurant, guys. You can order some eggs at any restaurant. There's really no excuse for not eating a whole food diet. They have eggs at every restaurant. They've got salad at every restaurant. So make those good choices. The second thing is we're going to have a Facebook group. We have a Facebook group for this? We have a Facebook group.
Everyone that's come, I've noted who's here,
You'll get a message to join so we can, misery loves company, right? We're going to be sweating in our houses with no electricity, drinking water. But we want to do this as a community. And I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear your experiences. I'm going to be starting this fast on Friday and do it Saturday, Sunday. And then I will begin the gut health bundle on Monday. So that is my plan. You're more than welcome to do that with me, but you could start immediately if you want to start. But we will get you signed up and notify you about the Facebook group.